400 years ago, the first women, men, and children forcibly stolen from this continent arrived on the other side of the Atlantic in America. Fast forward many years later, and the modern government of Ghana is saying to its international descendants, come back home. But what does that integration look like?
I went through what a lot of Black people go through, which is a trumped up charge, racism, and so forth. So I decided that I was coming here to do my PhD. I did so. I'm doing pretty well. I've been installed as a traditional ruler. So this was given to me by the Nsumankwa Hene, the overall spiritual head of all of the Asante people. It's about being accepted. It's about...
Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel once more. Kindly, for watching this video for the first time, make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment. So guys, in today's video is about Ibrahim Traore. Ibrahim Traore has welcomed all the Black people, Caribbean and Africa into Burkina Faso. So kindly guys, let's watch this video until the end, and then I'll come back with more reaction.
Your children, descendants of the formerly enslaved, they have waited over 400 years to return the spirits of their ancestors back home to Africa. When the children of Africa were taken out of Africa as slaves, all they ever wanted to do was to come back home to Africa. Each and every one of them that you see, many of them are coming to Africa for the first time. They're bringing with them the spirits of their ancestors to put them to rest here in Burkina Faso.
Je suis ému et très content de vous voir.
I am moved and very happy to see you here in Burkina Faso since the events of the SNC. It is more than a pleasure that you have chosen to come here to Burkina. You have surely been told that it is a country frequentable. We told you that it's death here, it's war.
C'est un pays infréquentable. On vous a dit que c'est la mort ici, c'est la guerre. Il n'y a que du négatif.
There is only negative. We painted Burkina black here, only blood flows, weapons. This is what is said elsewhere. Thank God you arrived safely. You were able to be about the lasso, live with us, our culture. What binds us Africans, you were able to communicate.
Être à propos du lasso, vivre avec nous notre culture, ce qui nous lie, nous Africains.
With many other nationalities who came to celebrate with us, everything went very well. You are of our standing, and I hope that you are very well received, very well lodged, and that you managed to communicate with your brothers here. It is one important message that you send to
President Traore, the reincarnation of Thomas Sankara. President Traore, who has led the struggle to complete the unfinished business that was started by our ancestors and our Pan-African leaders in 1963 when they created the Organization of African Unity. During that meeting, they demanded the creation of an Africa that spoke with one voice, an Africa that was united. That journey is yet to be finished. What is happening in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Niger, is just the beginning of a revolution that is way past due for Africa. Africa must unite. And Burkina Faso has shown us the way. They have opened the doors. They have shown us that the bully can be defeated. That no more shall we continue to give up our lunch. That we too need to eat. And therefore, there is no negotiating with the bully. The bully had to go, and Burkina Faso showed us how to do it. So, Mr. President, I bring you your children, descendants of the formerly enslaved. They have waited over 400 years to return the spirits of their ancestors back home to Africa. When the children of Africa were taken out of Africa as slaves, all they ever wanted to do was to come back home to Africa. Each and every one of them that you see, many of them are coming to Africa for the first time. They're bringing with them the spirits of their ancestors to put them to rest here in Burkina Faso. And that's mission number one. Mission number two, we have watched you, Mr. President. You stand for everything that we have hoped for in an African man. Courageous, fearless, and in their faces. France, unapologetically, you told France, pack your bags and go home. You, Mr. President, and the people of Burkina Faso have done it, and we have a responsibility to support you. You have over 300 million African diaspora who are looking up to you. We are here to show you that we are with you. We support you. We are behind you. And we will not let you down. Many of us were told, don't go to Burkina Faso. It's a war-torn country. Guns all over the street. Mr. President, we want you to know that the more they told us not to go to Burkina Faso, the more we ran to Burkina Faso. No one tells them not to go to Europe, to their countries of origin. Therefore, no one will tell us not to come home to Burkina Faso. So mission number two is to let you, Mr. President, know that you and the citizens of Burkina Faso have done all the heavy lifting. The least we can do is to support you. So we are here. Our third mission is to see what can we do, Mr. President, to play our part in building the Burkina Faso we want.
Je suis ému et très content de vous voir.
I am moved and very happy to see you here in Burkina Faso since the events of the SNC. It is more than a pleasure that you have chosen to come here to Burkina. You have surely been told that it is a country frequentable. We told you that it's death here, it's war.
C'est un pays infréquentable. On vous a dit que c'est la mort ici, c'est la guerre. Il n'y a que du négatif.
There is only negative. We painted Burkina black here, only blood flows, weapons. This is what is said elsewhere. Thank God you arrived safely. You were able to be about the lasso, live with us, our culture. What binds us Africans, you were able to communicate.
Être à propos du lasso, vivre avec nous notre culture, ce qui nous lie, nous Africains.
With many other nationalities who came to celebrate with us, everything went very well. You are of our standing, and I hope that you are very well received, very well lodged, and that you managed to communicate with your brothers here. It is one important message that you send too.
C'est un message important que vous envoyez à tout le monde.
Everyone, and nay, you will be the ambassadors of this message when you return home, that Burkina is very frequentable. We live in Burkina Faso. What they want to make you believe that is not the Burkina is what he draws to get people to flee Burkina, and they depict all of.
C'est ce qu'il dessine pour amener les gens à fuir le Burkina. Et c'est toute l'Afrique qu'il dépeint comme ça.
Africa like that for them. Africa is misery, Africa is famine, Africa is war, which is responsible for these wars. We need to unite. But they have always been there to divide us to be able to reign better. Slavery our ancestors experienced. Until today we are fed up in our.
Mais ils ont toujours été là pour nous diviser, pour pouvoir mieux régner. L'esclavage.
Flesh, but it continues. The grandfather was deported, torture, and still, when they had their war we supported him, they paid us in monkey money. Others were killed when they tried to claim. Several of them died in their village. With the after effects of the war, never recognized the work of the African, our mission. It is first of all to awaken Africa, and who better than you from the diaspora, to make people understand what Africa is. When I see you united in this association, I feel even more proud, because it is all we ask for. Today our fight is to be able to unite, because united we are strong. To divide we are weak. They have always worked to divide us. I urge you to spread the message, so that Africa can unite. We have been lucky or unlucky enough to live through war for several years, and at one point we had to say enough is enough. We are fed up.
Ils ont toujours travaillé à nous diviser. Je vous exhorte à passer le message pour que l'Afrique puisse.
We have taken our responsibilities, and we let us realize today more than ever that we were right to take our responsibilities. Because these armies were installed here, were never able at any time to monitor our territory, to see the terrorists who came to kill us, and
Et nous nous rendons compte aujourd'hui plus que jamais que nous avons eu raison de prendre nos responsabilités. Parce que ces armées étaient installées ici.
leave with all the means they had. When we asked to leave today, we were able to acquire a good number of means which allows us to wage our war, and to ward off the threat, and to indicate, I would say, we were able to equip our forces and reconstitute our armies. They
un bon nombre de moyens qui nous permettent de faire notre guerre et d'éloigner la menace et de l'endiguer, je dirais.
don't like that. Obviously, they will create other plans, but we are here and we will hold on thanks to you, who are far from them who support us.
Mais nous sommes là et nous tiendrons grâce à vous qui êtes loin et qui nous soutenez.
We will always stand because the African is resilience. We have suffered enough. The first thing you could do for Africa is to send the positive message. Enough looting, enough death. It is time that we unite and work. We only ask to live with dignity, to live
Assez de morts. Il est temps qu'on s'unisse et qu'on travaille. Nous ne demandons qu'à
free.
vivre.
Pass the message to awaken consciences. Some leaders always try to put their people to sleep and continue to pierce their people for the benefit of the West. This must stop. Who better than you to convey this message to the different people? Africa must wake up.
Que ça cesse. Qui mieux que vous pour passer ce message aux différents peuples? L'Afrique
Young
doit se
people must wake up and no longer allow the same policy continue. It is not possible. Africa is still virgin. Everything is business in Africa. Look at how our cities are. We can also develop our health and education systems. We can develop everything. So in this rich
Nous pouvons aussi développer nos systèmes de santé,
diaspora,
d'éducation.
we have all the specialties. Today in Burkina, we are thinking about set up one university polytechnic
Aujourd'hui au Burkina,
just to train scientific engineers, and I think you will be welcome to learn the second time, because as long as we do not
et je pense que vous serez les bienvenus pour
train the youth so that we ourselves can produce and transform here, on site we will always remain slaves.
Parce que tant que nous ne
Sovereignty
formons
is
pas
all
la
together.
jeunesse,
We are fighting for food self-sufficiency. Those who can invest in the agri-food industry to transform our products here, you are
souveraineté, c'est tout un ensemble. Nous sommes en train de nous
welcome,
battre pour
producing us everything here. Everything grows on our soils. We have experienced everything. After a year or so, everything grows in Burkina. Those who want to invest in agriculture are welcome. Those who want to invest in processing are welcome. Education, we want to
tout pousse au Burkina. Ceux qui veulent investir dans
transform the school, because the formatting that we are currently experiencing, it is from the school. They have channeled us, so that the intellectuals for the most part cannot think. Get out of the furrows that they have a trace. Thank God the conscious ones are waking.
de sorte que les intellectuels, pour la plupart, ne peuvent pas réfléchir, sortir des
Up.
sillons qu'ils
We
ont
need
tracés.
more. We need to change the educational system. You are welcome. And there are many other paths. They were in plundering our wealth. Today we are regaining control. And we are never going to leave our wealth behind because we want to live. We want to see our
Aujourd'hui, nous sommes en train de reprendre le contrôle.
children cared for, educated, grow up in peace and live in a healthy environment. So we are open. And you will be welcome in Africa to develop.
Et vivre dans un environnement sain. Donc, nous sommes ouverts et vous serez les bienvenus en Afrique pour développer votre continent.
Your continent, to unite your continent, and to pass on the message of this unity. It is very important. Continue to pass on the message, so that the young people wake up, who no longer leaves us leaders, to make slaves for others. This should not be allowed. There are
Les esclaves pour les autres. Ça ne doit pas être permis. Il y a certains pays aujourd'hui où nous avons envie de passer des
certain
messages.
countries today where we want to send messages, but I think that your voices carry even more because you are ambassadors. Wherever you are, whether in America, in Europe, your Caribbean, you are ambassadors. And when you speak, it can wake you up, and I urge you
Et je vous exhorte à parler. C'est la mission que je vous confie pour réveiller le continent. Bon séjour à
to
vous.
speak. This is the mission that I entrust to you, to wake up.
This battle, this war, we are going to win it, and we are going to overcome imperialism, which activated these terrorism in our region, to hope to bring us back in these colonial times, to maintain us under their yoke, to exploit us until the end of time. Africa is waking up, and no one can still close the eyes of Africans on our realities. No one can still come to divide us, to impose on us what they want. That's why we have done everything to be here today to speak to you, but also to come and wish good luck to President John Mahama. We will work together to strengthen cooperation between Burkina Faso and Ghana, and also between the AES and Ghana, because we have many challenges together and we have always been able to overcome them. There is no reason why we are not united and that we block imperialism. I am honored to address you, Your Excellency, Mr. President, on this special day, on behalf of the entire Burkina Faso community in Ghana. Your Excellency, Mr. President, the Burkina Faso community in Ghana speaks to you from the bottom of its heart to say to you, Newango Aidanse Fofo Akwaba Akra. For this new year, may the Almighty grant you and your entire family a diamond of health for the ear. On is soft. Your Excellency, Mr. President, your arrival today in Accra has fulfilled a deep dream of the Burkina Faso diaspora in Ghana to see one day its great leader, Captain Ibi, 10 sons of our ancestors, children, prodigies of Africa. Truly, this dream that thousands of Burkina Faso people in Ghana may see you, admire you, encourage you, carry you high, and tell you that they are resurrecting with your arrival. This dream that was still yesterday unexpected is a reality today. We now have faith in the future, proud and attached more than ever to our mother country, Burkina Faso. This is why, Your Excellency, I can tell you that the Burkina Faso diaspora in Ghana is constituted of an unconditional BDP on which you and the whole nation can count. Note that we, the Burkina Faso diaspora living in Ghana, we are beyond the concept of BDP. For us, it is a duty to defend the homeland. So we are DDP, Your Excellency, the community. That speaks to you today is a miniature Burkina, because it is constituted of the quasi-totality of the socio-cultural, linguistic, regional and professional diversity that can be found in Burkina. Some of our members arrived in Ghana a few years ago or a few decades ago, while others may constitute the 7th or the 10th generation of their ancestors, who came to this free land of Africa even before the beginning of the inhuman, barbaric and criminal colonization imposed on our continent by the wild imperialism that came from far away. Nowadays, the Burkina Faso diaspora in Ghana is estimated at about 4 million people, of which more than 3/4 are now integrated and have a second country, Ghana. This situation reveals to what extent an excellent cooperation and a fraternal relationship between Burkina and Ghana imposes itself as an imperative. By deciding against winds and seas to invite you to his investiture and by honoring against cyclones and mountains. This invitation, His Excellency the President John Dramani Mahama and Your Excellency have launched a decisive tour for the two countries, for the IAS and Ghana, and even for all of West Africa. Thank you for always being in touch with your peoples and their stories. Excellency, Mr. President, we would have liked to talk to you all this evening, but we will take advantage of this African wisdom which says, "The mouth that speaks must have pity for the ear that listens." However, before concluding my speech, allow me, Your Excellency, Mr. President, to convey to you two important messages entrusted to me by the community. These are two. Firstly, the concern for obtaining documents of identity and nationality of our compatriots in Ghana. Members of the community will be infinitely granted special measures that you will like to take to allow them to regain their Burkinabe nationality and to express the fullness of their Burkinabe. Secondly, the facilitation of our economic return to Faso through the facilities for the transfer and creation of our companies in the country. It is with a deep feeling of honor and immense joy that I take the floor on this memorable day on behalf of the Burkinabe community living in Ghana to wish His Excellency the President of Faso, His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traore, President of Faso, a warm welcome to Ghana and to this room. Your presence, Your Excellency, here confirms the interest that you bring to the Burkinabe diaspora in particular, and in general that of Ghana. Also, at this beginning of the year, I would like to seize the opportunity to introduce you on behalf of the entire Ghana diaspora our most sincere wishes of peace, health, prosperity and success in your noble and exalting missions. May the Almighty accompany you in the realization of your ambitions for our dear nation. Your Excellency, Mr. President of Faso, your fight for peace, national sovereignty and African dignity deeply inspires admiration and respect, not only in Burkina Faso, but also here in Accra, in Ghana. Your determination and leadership show a resounding echo both within the Burkinabe community and within the today's mobilization is a testimony of the immense support of our diaspora with more than 4 million members of Burkinabe who undertake and are proud of your actions for our dear country. This is why, Your Excellency, we salute with just value the construction project of the Black People's Institute, where the Burkinabe diaspora, especially that of Ghana, will be able to come and resource themselves. On their behalf, I would like to express our firm support and our commitment to contribute to the struggle you lead every day for the good of the Burkinabe people. We are aware of the challenges, but also of the victories. The lives saved, the hope given to the youth, the dignity restored. For this, we express our deep gratitude. We pay on the same occasion a tribute to the strong defense and security and to the VDP, the Volunteers for the Defense of the Fatherland, who fight to the supreme sacrifice for the inexorable reconquest of the integrity of our territory. Your Excellency, your presence here at the invitation of His Excellency Mr. John Dramani Mahama reaffirms the historical fraternity between our two peoples and reinforces the confidence, the image, the pride of our Burkinabe community in Ghana. We know that you carry a message of hope. This diaspora, wherever it may be, is tomorrow committed to the development of our nation. Allow me to conclude my speech by wishing that your stay here in Ghana is crowned with success and blessings. May God, the Almighty and the Merciful, be in control of everything. Together, with faith and determination, we will overcome all obstacles. In life or in death, we will win. It is an immense pleasure and an honor to be here among you. And it is for this that I thank God for allowing this meeting to take place. God, thank you. 10:56. We were able to arrive well this morning, and we are very proud to be among you and to exchange with you. It is really an honor. First of all, I would like us to observe a minute of silence in memory of all our martyrs who
Je vous remercie. Souhaitez donc bonne et heureuse année 2025. Priez Dieu
fell under this barbarity. Thank you. I would like to wish you a happy new year, 2025. May God bless you and grant you a healthy life. May God make all your businesses successful, prosperous, and may there be union and love in your respective families and among you. May God protect you throughout this year, 2025. and help you realize your dreams. I would also like to pay tribute to our valiant fighting forces, who fight with their body and soul, as you can see, so that our Burkina Faso remains standing. Noble work, men of integrity. Each time they throw themselves into the mud, they know well that some will stay there, but duty calls them. This is the job of the army. We often feel nostalgic, but those who have the chance to defend Burkina Faso today, we must encourage them and applaud them. When they leave, we will not cry for them, and we will have pity on our fate. If we cry for them, we must avenge them. Pay tribute to them as much as you can, because it does not allow anyone to get up and leave their homes to face the dangers, knowing well that they may not return in the evening. But this is what they do every day, and they have sworn to defend our dear country until the supreme sacrifice. And the fighting forces hold their bet. Today, more than ever, our armed forces go wherever they want. At the moment I speak to you, there are several operations through several groups, and we are inflicting colossal losses on the enemy and pushing him back little by little out of Burkina Faso. This battle, this war, we are going to win it, and we are going to overcome imperialism, which activated these terrorism in our region, to hope to bring us back in these colonial times, to maintain us under their yoke, to exploit us until the end of time. Africa is waking up, and no one can still close the eyes of Africans on our realities. No one can still come to divide us, to impose on us what they want. That's why we have done everything to be here today to speak to you, but also to come and wish good luck to President John Mahama. We wish him good luck because the challenges are numerous. Many challenges await him, and I wish that you can accompany your brothers here. Pan-Africanism is a rather complex, but you, people, it is quite easy for you to lead this Pan-Africanism, well, because the people must love each other. The people must support each other. The problem very often of Pan-Africanism is among us, leaders, but we are going to put everything in place so that the leaders can go in the direction of their people, because the peoples are already integrated, they are Pan-African. If today, Ghana decided to bring President John Mahama to the head of the country, it is a strong message, and I wish that you, Burkinabe, living in Ghana, you can accompany President John Mahama. The task will be difficult. There are certainly challenges to come on the security level, on the economic level. I wish that you can accompany the forces of defense and security in Ghana as much as you can, both on the intelligence level and on the economic level as you can. Support them as if you were supporting the Burkinabe armed forces. I'm telling you something, the challenges can be very numerous. In no case should you lose hope. You must accompany them and help them on all levels. One A nation does not survive as long as it does not have a strong army. This is why I reiterate to you to support the forces of defense and security in Ghana. It is they who can help the country to rise to the economic level and to flourish. Then I urge you to love the people here, to live in perfect symbiosis, in perfect harmony, as you are already doing very well. As I said, the peoples are already integrated. The problem is at the level of the leaders. Continue in this sense. Support your brothers in Ghana. Support them as much as you can. 1650. And above all, show this integrity. A country of integrated people must be a model. Burkina Faso must not create a problem. Burkina Faso must be a solution. You have always known how to behave through all your leaders here. Wish this dynamic to continue and that you can accompany the new president in his enormous task to revive the country's economy and above all, to defend this country. We will work together to strengthen cooperation between Burkina Faso and Ghana, and also between the AES and Ghana, because we have many challenges together and we have always been able to overcome them. The arrival of the new president must be a moment for us to warm up these relations and to bring them to the highest level. In the coming days, we will be able to see what can be done for the benefit of Burkinabe, of the interior, as well as of you who are here. The grievances immediately raised by the representative are current grievances. And I think that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has to be able to reorganize the diaspora so that we can solve these problems as easily as possible. This is why the councils have been established and the administrative documents and other documents.
Good evening, my fellow African diaspora. My name is Ambassador Dr. Arikana Chiomore. I am the African Union Ambassador to the United States of America. Our offices are located on 1640 Wisconsin Avenue, Northwest in Washington, D.C. I am here as your ambassador with two main mandates. The first one is to promote Africa in the Americas. And the second one is to galvanize the African diaspora to participate in the development of Africa. Who are the African diaspora? According to the African Union definition, African diaspora are all people of African descent living outside Africa. The 55 African heads of states understand very clearly that in order for Africa to take its rightful place on the world stage, in order for sustainable development to come to Africa, the African diaspora must be front and center of that conversation. So it is precisely why I'm here to have a conversation with you all, my fellow brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. As you all know, I was appointed by Chairman Zuma, the former chair of the African Union. And currently, our new chair is His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat. He took office 2 years ago. Both of them are also very clear about the need for the African diaspora to participate in the development of Africa. Madam Zuma, on my last conversation with her, she jokingly said, you know, my sister, the African diaspora are a very diverse population. Unfortunately, children of Africa who don't really get along, who don't understand each other, who don't like each other sometimes. But be it as it may, she did have hope that if we continue to engage each other, if we continue to understand each other, maybe, just maybe, we would see enough reason to come together, put aside our differences, and speak with one voice, one continent, one Africa. So that is why I am here. And in order for us to begin to understand each other, in order for us to begin to engage each other in a meaningful conversation, first we must ask ourselves the question, how did we get here? How did Africa end up where Africa is? Allow me to take you to 1884, Berlin Conference. From November of 1884 to February of 1885, our colonizers met to discuss how to make sure that Africa and its children are forever defeated and dominated. Prior to 1884, they were going into Africa in a very haphazard way. They started stealing from each other what they had stolen from the Africans. They were getting ready to have a European war on the African soil. The then Chancellor of Germany, Bismarck, realizing that what was getting ready to happen, called in his sidekick, then King of Belgium, Leopold, and said, we are getting ready to have a problem. Could we please call all the colonizers to come and meet in Berlin, Germany? Let's discuss, let's organize ourselves to see to it that we can effectively loot from the Africans. So it is they met between November of 1884 and 1885 precisely to make sure Africa and its children are forever defeated and dominated. The way they did it is by chopping Africa up into the tiny little economies that we see today. Countries like Burundi, Togo, Djibouti, Central African Republic, Malawi, Mozambique, the list goes on. Pretty much all the African countries that you see today. That was by design. That was to see to it that Africa was forever defeated, that these small economies are economies that cannot survive on their own, or should they survive, they are easy to destabilize at the push of a button. That was 124 years ago. Fast forward 2019, nothing has changed. The jokes say, when they were strategizing and breaking up Africa and drawing these arbitrary boundaries, a husband and wife who were in bed in Malawi, by the time they woke up, the husband was in Zambia and the wife was in Malawi. That's how arbitrary the divisions were. Picture yourself driving from Zambia. You're speaking English. Pretty soon, you're in Angola. You're speaking Portuguese. Pretty soon, you're in the DRC. You're speaking French. Pretty soon, you are in Equatorial Guinea. You're speaking Spanish. Keep moving north. You're now in the southern part of Cameroon. You're speaking English. You go up north, you're speaking French. Soon after that, you are in Nigeria. You're speaking English. It was such an arbitrary process, a process that brought maximum division among people who were once the same. We were powerful kingdoms. The countries of Africa that we know today, prior to 1884, they did not exist as these countries. The countries that we are today are a creation of the colonizers to see to it that we are forever defeated and dominated. To them I say colonizers, mission accomplished, because Berlin Conference remains alive and well. Now, let's assume this world is a boxing game. Even the rules of the game, no. Heavyweights belong to the heavyweights. Middleweights belong to the middleweights. Lightweights belong to the lightweights. You don't take a lightweight boxer or a wannabe boxer and throw them in the same ring with the heavyweight. Well, African countries are not even lightweight boxers. They are wannabe boxers who are being put in the same boxing ring with heavyweights. You see, you got to understand that Burundi has the same sovereignty as China. Central African Republic has the same sovereignty as India. So when it comes to negotiating country to country, little Djibouti will stand next to China. Little Burundi will stand next to India. And when China beats up Djibouti, the world says, Djibouti, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you able to take care of your people? Such a small economy. Its population is growing, but its land mass is not. Djibouti can only do so much. The small economies can only do so much. And even those that have tried to survive, they are so easy to stabilize. Before you know it, there's conflict in those countries. And next thing you know, everything is falling apart. Such is the status of our Africa, ladies and gentlemen. It is so important to me that we understand our Africa from the root cause. So as if Berlin Conference was not enough, when the colonizers were leaving the continent between 1958 and 1961, France did something that was just downright terrible. Made the African leaders sign what they call the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. France made the Francophone countries sign the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. Allow me to highlight a few of the items in the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. And I urge all of you to Google it and read it. And if that does not disgust you, I don't know what will. First, the French said, well, you see, we built a few schools, a few roads, a few hospitals, taught you about the fork and knife and sitting on a table and eating with utensils. We're going to call that the colonial debt. And for that you shall pay to perpetuity. In addition, you will deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the Minister of Finance, the French Minister of Finance. Collectively, the Minister of Finance, the French Minister of Finance will take all your deposits. It was 85% back then, it's now down to about 60. The French Minister will invest that money in the French Stock Exchange under the French name. You may or may not know the returns. Today, France is taking out of Africa, Francophone Africa, over $500 billion. Over $500 billion. We, the Africans, the poor countries, we're giving France over $500 billion a year in, year out. And no one is talking about it. The latest figures are saying for every $14 billion that France takes out of Africa, by the time they finish investing it, they're realizing upwards of $300 billion for every $14 billion. So in actuality, France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars year in, year out. should any of those countries wish to access some of their own money that they deposited with France, they have to submit their own financial reports for the country. And if approved, they can only access up to 20% of that money as a loan at commercial interest rates. Figure that one out. That is our reality. It gets better. They were also told that if you need any military equipment, you can only purchase it from France. Your military can only be trained by France. That France will have military presence in your own country and can invade you without notice should they feel French interests are being violated. Language of instruction shall be French. All your minerals discovered, yet to be discovered, France has the first right of refusal. All the contracts, big contracts, private and public, French companies have the first right of refusal. Now, my brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, if you were to go home and run for president, and your first day in office, your chief of staff comes to you and says, oh, by the way, Mr. President, Madam President, before you start, I must read you the do's and don'ts as stipulated by the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. And your chief of staff reads this to you. What power do you have? This is precisely what our colonizers wanted. To leave us in a position that no matter how hard we try, trying to get a leg up is mission impossible. But in those incidences that we're able to, regardless, because that's who we are as Black people, we're very easy to destabilize. Others might say, but Ambassador, why haven't the African leaders done something about this horrible pact? Well, they have. In the past, it's very well documented. Of the 60-something coups that took place in Africa, 7 of them are documented as having been orchestrated by France, and 7 of those involved an African leader being assassinated during a coup. And those coups were done precisely because those African leaders, those Pan-African leaders, were trying to pull out of the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. Now, there have been other coups that were created by just mercenaries who were running around trying to destabilize African countries, and always because the African countries would have discovered a natural resource. And they created those coups. So while the locals are fighting, thrown into a civil war, they will be siphoning that natural resource. We know the game now. We've seen them play the game. So it's not like there was no attempt to pull back. But the reality is, even now, when leaders have tried to push back on certain issues, next thing you know, there's conflict in that country. And who are they using for the conflict? Us. The people who are going to be toy-toying on the streets, it's us, the Africans. And we are going on the streets fighting somebody else's war because we simply do not know. Let me bring it home, for example. If, let's say, a Francophone African leader decides to pull out of the pact, by the way, they also print the money, the CFA. They print the CFA for all the Francophone African countries. France no longer even use the CFA, but they print it gladly for the African countries. France is using the euro. So if a leader starts wanting to be too smart, all they have to do is stop printing the money. And next thing you know, the locals are getting their paychecks, they're going to the bank, they line up, there is no physical cash. It's that easy to destabilize Africa. Food in most of the Francophone countries, close to 50% in some countries, the food is coming from France. If you start acting like you're too smart, they simply stop sending food. And before you know it, the shelves are empty. And the locals start demonstrating. And they'll be demonstrating and blaming the president. I am not saying our African presidents don't have any blames. Nobody's without blame. No country is perfect. No leader is perfect. I get that. But what I'm saying is, in order for us to make sure when we demonstrate, when we complain, we are complaining about issues that are truly matter to us, not issues that we are being thrown into because somebody else has a different agenda. They're basically throwing a shiny object in one direction, and we run after the shiny object when the real issue is over here. So what I'm talking about is like Africa is like a tree. The problems of Africa, such as youth unemployment, poverty, disease, starvation, those are the leaves on a tree. They're drying up. Today, this country has the problem. Tomorrow is that country. Tomorrow is... Those are the issues. They're leaves. They're going to come and go. The branches, they're going to die, but they'll come back season after another. But until you address the issues of the root, this tree will always be a problem. For Africa, the root has to do with the Berlin Conference. We must be clear that the Berlin Conference is alive and well. A decision that was made 124 years ago remains alive and well today. In addition, after the Berlin Conference, they did something just as deplorable. They set out to let the Africans believe everything African was bad and everything European was better and more desirable. That's the rule of divide and conquer. That's the legacy of colonization. Have you ever wondered why, when you try to go home at the airport, if you travel with our brothers and sisters who happen to be Caucasian, they get better treatment by our own people? I was trying to go through the airport, I won't mention which country in Africa. I called the porter 3 times. The man would come and hang around. The minute I look another way, he's gone. I later found out from one of the porters that, we are looking for the white people because they pay more. My own people are discriminating against me. Thanks to the Berlin Conference. Thanks to the legacy of colonization. Thanks to the rule of divide and conquer. Those are some of our realities. How do you address that? We must understand it. We must realize on an individual basis that we are suffering from this affliction that is called the legacy of colonization and the legacy of slavery. Because for true healing to take place, for sustainability to take place, it has to start with the conversation with the image in the mirror. So when it's all said and done, our understanding of what is really going on in Africa, what is really making Africa end up where Africa is where we need to begin. So for today, I ask you to understand the Berlin Conference and its relevance to you today. Its relevance in your family today. Its relevance to your country and to your continent and to the world, wherever black people are. So we got 2 issues, the legacy of slavery, the legacy of colonizations, 2 demons that we must fight, 2 afflictions that we must accept, that we suffer from, and let's make every effort to defeat those demons within us in order for us to truly represent our Africa with full understanding of the issues. So as we look for a solution, our minds are clear and our minds are in the right place. Allow me to take a moment to then take you to 1963. Our Pan-African leaders realizing that in order for Africa to move forward, Africa must speak with one voice, one continent, one country, one heart, one mind, one soul. So they met in Addis Ababa in 1963, and they created the OAU, Organization of African Unity. It was an attempt to regroup and undo the boundaries that were imposed upon us. Unfortunately, when they went to Addis Ababa, they were still divided. We had the Casablanca group who were Pan-Africanists who says African Union now, Africa for the Africans. But unfortunately, there were only 7 of them. Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. And the rest of the African countries were the nationalists. They were the Monrovia group. They said, no, let's go slow. They won. We often say, when the Pan-Africanists lost in 1963, Africa lost. 55 years later, we're still going slow. All is not lost, however. Last year, 2018, our leaders came together in Kigali. They agreed on a decision which is now called the African Continental Free Trade Area. This agreement, they are saying we must speak with one voice. We must negotiate with one voice as a bloc, as one Africa, because as Africa, We are a heavyweight and we belong with heavyweight boxers. We belong with the big boys. There's parity there. This is how we begin to destroy the Berlin Conference. And of the 52 heads of states who have signed on to this, we only need 22 ratifications. I'm glad to tell you today that we're sitting at 21 ratifications. We have only one more ratification for the African Continental Free Trade Area to become the law of the continent, and implementation is expected to begin in June of 2019. Now that's how we destroy the Berlin Conference. In addition, they also signed in March of last year the protocols for the free movement of people, where they are saying unanimously, the African heads of states, the children of Africa must live and work wherever they choose. That too is in the process of being ratified. Over 30 heads of states have signed, and I believe we are sitting at about 3 or 4 ratifications. Already, regionally, the leaders are loosening the requirements to get into their countries. A lot of countries now are visa on arrival. There's a lot of good news coming out of your Africa. And I'm here to share with you that we must be part of that change. We must be part of that vibrancy that is Africa. You see, everybody else around the world is strategizing on how to take advantage of this new Africa whose doors are swinging wide open. The only people who are not strategizing to move into your Africa and claim what is rightfully yours are us, black people. Why can't we be like the rest of the other diaspora in this world? Ask for the voices of Indian diaspora, loud and clear. Chinese diaspora, loud and clear. Irish diaspora, loud and clear. Mexicans, Jews. But when you ask for the voices of the black people, you might as well go to the graveyard. We are missing in action. This is where we are not only failing ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, and generations to come. We have got to change this. We have got to come together just like other ethnic groups and speak with one voice. We must realize that our sheer survival depends on us coming together and speaking with one voice as, like I would like to say, the beautiful, intelligent, sophisticated, highly adaptable, and totally indestructible Mother Africa's children. You see, we as Africans, as the origin of humanity, the continent, the inheritors of the continent with everything and anything the world needs, we have every reason to stand on top of the highest mountain and proclaim to the world who we are, the indestructible children of Africa. But Africa is calling. I have no doubt in my mind that all of you, after having had a serious conversation with the image in the mirror, you are going to come together and with a united voice and in a resounding way, you shall let the world know that the children of Africa are going home. Let's sing the best melody the world has ever heard as we come together, not as 55 African countries, not as 1.27 billion Africans on the continent, not as 400 million blacks around the globe, but as children of one Mother Africa, singing in unison that beautiful melody as we waltz our way across the Atlantic back home to Africa.
Black people all around the world are moving to Africa. In Ghana, the Black Star State, the gateway to Africa, is receiving most of us. There are so many reasons why many of us are moving to Africa. One reason, hashtag no more winters. You come to Ghana, the sun is always out. Some of y'all go outside, don't live outside. Business, opportunities, investment. Most people know that Africa is going to have a big portion of the world's population in just a few number of years. Africa has the youngest population. Africa has every natural mineral in the world. The whole world is surviving off the natural minerals that grow right here in Africa. Ghana is English speaking. Ghana is very used to African Americans, and you're going to find somebody from your neighborhood here no matter where you go. So it's a whole plethora of reasons why a lot of us are moving to Ghana. So I'm sure you will find your reason. One of the most important things to do before you move is make sure you know why you're moving. Know your
Back, hope you have watched a very powerful message from different people. Dr. Kana was in Burkina Faso together with Ibrahim Traore as they all welcome the black people from across all over the world. We know that those white people, when Donald Trump came in power, the first thing he did was to deported all the immigrants back to their country. So we know that Africa is the home of black people, and when our people are being deported back to our country, we must accept them because their origin are from Africa. So their ancestral land is from Africa, and Africa is the place of the black people. So those people were deported back to our country, and Ibrahim Traore, being in good heart and what he has really fighting for, we as Jamaican, also the Caribbean, African black people, accepted the return of those people because these people, they deported all the immigrant, and because of what, some of them were coming back because of maybe paid less wages, and somebody were, then another one for maybe being racist in United States. We know that in those West country, a lot of racism is just a common for them. They normally resist our persons, and this has made life being hard for one of those people. That's why they have decided to come back to Africa. And this has made Ibrahim Traore to come out and accept all people to Burkina Faso. Because Burkina Faso, the first thing when Ibrahim Traore came in power, she chased away the military troops and suspended all the activities of this France and also the West country. So as you know that these people, they don't want to see a brave leader, any leader that can stand up and speak alone. So this has made life being hard for them, and that's why they now sending our people, deported our people coming back to Africa. And this is just a waking call because we know we have our own resources and we can develop our own country using our own resources. We don't want to depend from these people, and it has reached a time that we no longer being begging for these people. So Africa has been being used by these white people and also the Caribbean. We have been used as for so long time, and that's why it's high time that we accept our people and coming back to our countries. And it's a waking call, and we will develop our continent. What Ibrahim Traore has done in Burkina Faso, nobody has even done entirely, because making education now free in Burkina Faso, and also championing for the unity, because he is the pan-Africanism. He is only speaking for Burkina Faso, but he's speaking across the world, and that's why most of people have now coming out and have declared Ibrahim Traore to be the president of Africa. Because when you go to the United States, we have a lot of states, so we want to have a lot of states in Africa and being ruled by Ibrahim Traore, because he is the fearless. He don't fear anybody. That's why all Jamaican, we love Ibrahim Traore so much. Because of what? Because the Jamaica that are fighting for Jamaica is being fighting for imperialism. So this imperialism is the one that Ibrahim Traore is fighting for, and this has made now being together and united. Because I saw Ibrahim Traore calling for unity, because unity is power. He wanted to unite between Caribbean and Africa, and also Black America who are outside there, to be united, so that we form a very good movement. Because our movement now is fighting for whites, and we want to do away with imperialism. We want our people to coming back to our country. Come back, we will develop our country, because we don't want to send our people outside there going and run and learn. And we can have our own machine in Africa, and also organizing a lot of activities so that our people cannot go outside and learn their languages, because we can even have our own dollars. That is the message for Ibrahim Traore, for Jamaica, that we black people, why are we defending for euros and these US dollars? We want to develop our own, come up with our own dollar, so that we can have our own dollar and develop our own content. We don't want to rely to these white people, because these people charged a lot. When you import something, they want you to pay in terms of dollars. They don't even recognize our shillings. They just want to recognize their own. And that's why Ibrahim Traore came out and he wants us to have our own dollars. And then he said that we can have bargaining power because we have our natural resources, because as now Burkina Faso is the leading natural resources supplier. They supply a lot of gold is there, anything, a lot of things are in Burkina Faso. And that's why Ibrahim Traore has now come out and he's looking for a friend. We saw he went to Russia and is now cooperating with Putin, and he's the one who's now control the resources of Burkina Faso. And he said that the resources of Burkina Faso belongs to people of Burkina Faso. We don't want any our resources to go back, to go out and pay and benefit the people of West. We want our resources to be here and develop our own country. We don't want our resources to be used outside. So that is the message to Ibrahim Traore as he welcomed all the Jamaicans to Burkina Faso, because Jamaica are now the united. When you go outside there, you will not lose any Jamaica. So kindly guys, for watching this video for the first time, make sure you subscribe, like, share and comment. So let's make this video viral as we welcome our brothers Jamaica to Burkina Faso. Bye for now.